All right, my friends. Now, here's something that we found very important to do, which is every Saturday we'll be going in depth in movements. All right. Every so often we go in depth in movements. This Saturday we're going to be going through the running. The running as a movement. I mean, if squatting needs teaching, so does breathing, and so does running. If we need to be taught how to write, so do we need to be taught how to run. And by the way, we run perfectly just as we do squat when we're very young, and then as age catches up and body structure changes, the running form changes and the technique kind of falls apart. By the way, running is responsible for so many knee and hip injuries. So here we are looking at technique, not just to be for us to be able to prevent and also to some extent rehabilitate any pain and injury from this kind of activity, the gait cycle, and also be able to optimize our performance. If you're able to crash your 5K, crash your mile run, crash your half marathon, here are the movements that are going to help you do that. All right. Now let's get straight into it. We've got three circles here that we're going to look at. First is the foot strike, where your foot meets the ground. All right. And second is the trunk and arm movement, and then the third is breathing. Okay. Now let's start out like this. Now, the best way to actually learn how to do all of these things, or to get the correct foot strike, you want to think about it like this. If you were an object and you are rolling around on the road, would you like to be a ball or would you like to be a box? All right? Would you like to be a box like this, or would you like to be a ball like this? All right? So it's a lot easier for that ball to roll than it is for us to flip this box and take it over and over again. The idea is for us to make us to mimic the quality of that ball and run away as fast as possible from the box as it is. Now, if you want to be like a ball, what you want to do is keep a short strike. So that there, you see the knee is high and the heel is high. Okay? The knee is high and the heel is high. So we are going to go here, up. So right now, I can't see my heels, and then I can't see my foot. So that means my foot is striking just under me. All right? I'm going to remain in this position. The best way to train for this is heel flips. All right? Or you can go with a jumper and go the running jumper. Very easy. If you want a tactile cue, you can go onto the wall. Be over here, measure about 6 inches. So what I'm doing here is putting my jabs behind my bands over there and was in that position. I want to run here and ensure that my foot are not going to make contact with the wall. So here, you see that? The wall calls me out. Every time I'm tempted to go like that, the wall calls me out. It's a very good tool for us to learn with. I'm sure you have one at home. Now, the other thing is, if the short strike is versus the long strike. So if you find yourself doing a long strike, and it's very deceiving, you think the longer you strike, the faster you're going to be running. But what it does is that, you see, the ball is in this position. If you want to mimic the ball, be as small as it is. Here. Okay? If you want to mimic the box, be as long as it is, as long as you can get. And that's how far that's how long my strike would have to be. But did you notice something, coach? I'd like you to catch that heel at the bottom. The farther I go out, the easier my heel is to meet the ground. All right? So I'm going to meet the ground with my heel if I take my stride too long. And that, my friends, is responsible for over 90% of what we call running injuries. The heel strike, here, very, very, very dangerous. Because all of your body weight and the force you're throwing yourself down with and gravitational pull is going down on that heel. Impact is transferred to the ankle, to the knee, to the hip, all the way up to the spine. So you're going to get pains and niggles all over the place. You don't know where they came from, and yet they might have come from, taking the stride too long. All right? Running like this. Let me show you. So if you run like this, long stride. Wow. It's gonna be too tough. Okay? If you want, what you want to do is to just maintain that. You maintain that. Alright? So look at the so how are you going to strike it? If you want to run like a ball, what you're going to do is strike mid-foot. So simply you're going to the balls of your toes. So here, tap, tap, balls, land the heel. If you keep the heel up again, you see, you cram up that calf, and a lot of fatigue goes into your calves. You want to rest your heel. See that? Calf relaxes, and then you can pull it up. Rest your heel, calf relaxes, pull it up. Again, if you want to do this correctly, heel flicks is the way to go. And leave it there. Just try it. Click that heel. Yeah. Alright? There we go. Now, next, let's go through the trunk and arm movement. Now you're over here. So how do we turn this to forward movement? Is we're going to lean, not the trunk. We're not going to think about this as your trunk and these are your legs. We're not going to hinge the trunk forward. No, no, no. We're going to use gravity and lean the entire body forward. Okay? So we lean the entire body forward. We're not hinging at the hips. So what am I talking about? So it's an upright versus bent over. So you find sometimes you land like this. See, there's a little bit of a hinge at the hips. So that means the hip is not experiencing that ball and socket movement. This is a ball and a socket. It's not experiencing that ball and socket movement that has been initiated by your correct foot strike. By your mid-foot strike, you're going like a ball up down there. But here, the hip needs to go like that, not back and forth. And what's going to keep it there is if you unlock it by running straight. How do we end up doing this? Is run tall. Run tall, run strong. Okay? If you let gravity happen, as we'll say here, we give in to gravity, and we're over here, the gravity is pulling us down, and we are fatigued, and we're over here just trying to finish the run. That's where a lot of hip complications will come in. You'll start, messing up, what you did very well at the foot strike over there. What you want to do, my friends, is ensure that you're there, running tall, which I'm going to move around just a heads up for you, alright? So you want to ensure that you're over there, tall position, then going. See? Running tall. Versus. I'm letting gravity just do it. I'm just trying to finish. Alright? So here, correct run. Up. Lean the body forward. See that? I did not hinge. Lean the body forward. And immediately, gravity is going to pull you not just down, but forwards, because you're not leaning all the way down. It's just a slight slant. Slant forwards, gravity pulls you down as you go forward. Take advantage of that very powerful thing called gravity. But you have to maintain that tall, upright running rather than, that slouch over there, right? How do we move the arms? So you're over here. See that? That arm movement, this is a ball and socket joint. The shoulder is a ball and socket joint. So you want to move it. Your arms are either going to help you run, or you have to carry them. Imagine carrying the weight of your arms. So if they're over here, you know what? You're just carrying those arms. But if you make it a ball and socket movement, now they're helping you run. They're not a burden anymore. They're taking part in this activity that we want to do well. So let's go. Just move the elbows back and forward. Now, that's it for the swing the arms or or carry them. They are either helping you or you are having to carry them. You're carrying what we would call as dead weight. Breathe. It's one of the most important, most obvious things that you have to do when you're running. But there's a proper way of doing it. You're either stomach breathing or chest breathing. Stomach breathing or chest breathing. Mostly that actually just goes to the neck and out. The idea here is to make sure that as much air goes into the lungs, and there's a sweet spot there, right? As much air is going into the lungs, so too much is bad, too little is also bad, all right? So that, and the way you do that is filling your belly with air, but through your nose. Now that way my diaphragm is opening and closing, opening and closing, ensuring that as much oxygen as optimally possible is going into my lungs, as much oxygen, as much air is going into my lungs, as much oxygen is being sent to my, to the muscles, allowing them to carry me for longer and longer and longer. Running is more often than not an aerobic capacity, an aerobic capacity workout or an aerobic capacity movement. So you need aerobics, you need the air so that it can push you through that movement. Now, how to ensure that you're breathing in, and especially nasal breathing, your mind has got to be here. For all of these things to happen, your mind has got to be here. If you send your mind on holiday, it goes with the technique. If you send your mind over there, it goes with the technique. If you keep your mind here, you're able to maintain proper technique in all of these things. The foot strike, the trunk and arm movement, and the breathing. So now I'm just going to do a small lap over here. Coach Tim, you won't have to move, you just rotate on the spot as I move. That will give you a tour of the box. There. Is it easy? Once you start out, it's not easy. When you're paying attention to technique, I mean, think about the last time when we started teaching how to squat. It was not easy to squat. But as you get used to the movement and the technique, then it becomes easier. So just apply these pointers when you're out there running. Let's know how it's going. Send us some feedback. We'll be happy to interact with you on this. We may be wrong on some of these things. Let us know. Cheers, my friends. Take care.